Every village has its secrets, so they say. Ours had many. But none of them ever prepared us for the man who refused to touch fire. His name was Danlami. No one knew where he came from, not even the chief. He just appeared one dry season morning, carrying a calabash under one arm and a rolled-up mat on his back. He wore no shoes, no wristwatch, not even a bag. His eyes were dry like cracked earth, and his skin looked untouched. He didn't greet anyone. He walked straight to the old abandoned compound behind Mama Aika's cassava farm, the one that hadn't had a tenant since the lightning incident. No one had dared to stay there since the roof burned off in '99. Yet Danlami moved in that same evening, spreading his mat under the broken zinc without even patching the holes. By morning, he had cleared the compound. By evening, he had planted ugu and bitter leaf. By nightfall, he had built a small bamboo kitchen without a fireplace. We noticed the fire part on the third day. Mama Aika had sent her son with a bowl of hot yam porridge, just to welcome him. The boy returned saying, "He no collect am. He talk say anything we touch fire no curse." "What kind of man fears fire?" someone asked. "What kind of African refuses cooked food?" another added. The matter started spreading. By the weekend, people began watching him more closely. He fetched water from the stream, never from the village tap. He ate only raw things, fruits, cola, coconuts, unroasted groundnuts, and sometimes leaves we didn't recognize. He even brushed with fresh sticks, not plastic brushes. But the most disturbing part: he never bathed hot water. One morning, Mama Ifeoma had offered him boiled water after the harmattan cracked his lips. He simply said, "Boiled things do not heal, they haunt." Then walked away. I won't lie, he scared me. Not because he was violent. No. Because he was too calm. Too untouched. Even during the coldest harmattan night, he didn't light a fire. His house stayed dark, pitch black. No lanterns. No candles. Just darkness. Some said he was a spirit avoiding discovery. But Baba Oyai, the oldest man in the village, had a different theory. One night at the palm wine joint, he said, "You people don't understand. It's not that he hates fire. It's that fire hates him." The first real sign came when Mama Aika's kitchen caught fire. It started small, from the corner of her roof. No one knew how. The fire spread fast, eating the dry thatch like dry plantain chips. But when the villagers ran to fetch water from the stream, they noticed something strange. The fire would not cross the small footpath leading to Danlami's house. As if some invisible wall stopped it. As if fire itself refused to go near him. People started talking. What kind of man repels fire? Is he cursed or chosen? That night, 2 boys tried to spy on him, Uche and Bello. They crept near his window to see what he did at night without light. Only Bello returned. He was shaking, barefoot, with bruises on both knees. He didn't speak for a full day. When he finally did, he only whispered one thing. He was eating something that moved. The village grew tense after that. A meeting was called. The chief asked him to explain himself. Danlami only said one thing. "Your fire burns too many lies. I came here to stay clean." Then he stood and left. Calmly. Not rudely, not with anger. But the way a man walks when he knows something you don't. But that night, something happened to me. I was lying on my mat, thinking about Danlami's words. About the way the fire curved away from him. Out of nowhere, my lantern flickered. Then died. I thought it was just breeze. But then, my entire room grew cold, unnaturally cold. Like harmattan and rain came at once. Then I saw it. A soft orange glow outside my window. Like fire, but not fire. I stood, slowly, heart pounding, and peeped. Danlami was standing under the mango tree, barefoot, holding a raw yam in one hand, and something long and wet in the other. It looked like a leaf. Or maybe a tongue. He was talking to the flame. But there was no fire. Only light. Floating in the air. Moving around him like it was alive. And just as I blinked, the glow blinked too. And disappeared. I couldn't sleep after that. Not because I was scared. But because I felt warm. Like something had entered my room. The next morning, I woke up with a burn mark on my shoulder. Small. Round. Neat. Like the kiss of a candle. And I haven't lit my lantern since. For the next few days, I pretended not to notice him again. But inside me, I was boiling with curiosity and fear. Mama Jeto's water pot broke on its own. A chicken in Olosh's compound laid an egg with a black shell. Chief's grandson came down with a burning fever that refused to go away, even after bathing him with alligator pepper and palm oil. It started when that man entered this village. People began to whisper. The name Danlami became taboo. Children were warned not to go near his hut. Women made the sign of the cross whenever they passed by him. But what made things worse was what happened on Omij market day. That day, I saw him buying ugu leaves, unwashed tomatoes, and bitter cola. When the seller offered to roast the cola on her charcoal tray like she did for others, Danlami took a step back, almost like he'd seen a demon. His face tightened. He dropped the cola, paid for the rest, and walked away without another word. The woman spat behind him. Spirit husband. I took him. Now the entire market believed he was something other than human. I stayed up that night. Something told me Danlami was more than just strange, he was hiding something. Maybe he was evil. Maybe he was a spirit being sent to torment us. Or maybe he was cursed. So I stayed awake, eyes fixed on his hut. And at 2:17 a.m., I saw it again. The same orange glow. Only this time, it was brighter. Flickering. Moving. And then I saw her. A woman. Tall. Thin. Her wrapper dragging behind her like it was soaked in oil. She stood at his window, whispering something I couldn't hear. Danlami came out, slowly, his face pale like chalk. He knelt before her. She touched his shoulder, and then disappeared into the darkness like mist. I jumped. What did I just see? The next morning, I went straight to Baba Okyut, the oldest man in the village. He was blind now, but his ears were sharper than a bat's. I told him everything. His first question chilled me. Did she walk or float? Walked, I replied. Then she's real. Not spirit. Human. But she's not from here. Baba Okyut sat silent for a long time. Then he said, that boy is not ordinary. He's hiding from his past. And fire is the key. That night, I returned to Danlami's hut. He wasn't inside. I waited outside, hidden behind a mango tree. Just before dawn, he came back, wet, barefoot, and shaking. He sat at the front of his hut, unknowing I was watching. Then, he began to speak. Not to me. To himself. Or to something unseen. I warned her. I told her never to boil the soup. I begged her. If she loved me, she would keep it fresh. Cold. But she boiled it, and everything burnt. My power. My land. My name. I froze. They came with fire. She led them in. She opened the way. My own lover. I trusted her. And now, here I am. Ashes of who I used to be. I felt a cold hand grab my spine. So it was true. This man, this strange man in our village, was once powerful. Maybe a prince. Maybe a prophet. A spiritual vow. But someone, his lover, betrayed him. She cooked his food. Maybe out of spite. Maybe by mistake. And that small act broke him. His powers were swallowed by flame. But the story didn't end there. A few days later, Chief declared that every stranger must leave the village for cleansing. He didn't mention names, but we all knew who he meant. Danlami did not fight. He packed his things quietly, holding only a calabash filled with fresh water and a wrapped bundle of uncooked maize. Before he left, I stepped forward. "Who are you really?" I asked. He looked at me with tired eyes. "I was once a guardian. A son of fire who was forbidden to touch it. I lost everything when I broke the covenant through love. Now I wonder where heat cannot follow." And then he walked away. The following year, our village had a terrible drought. Crops failed. Streams dried up. We prayed to the gods. But I often wonder, maybe we chased away the only person who once held the power to bless us without flame. And somewhere out there, a fireless prophet walks, searching for peace. It had been 2 full rainy seasons since Danlami left our village. Most people had already forgotten him. But not me. Since his departure, our village hadn't been the same. The drought turned into famine. People fell sick. Our chief consulted oracles, made sacrifices, even poured palm oil on the 4 corners of the market square, but nothing changed. The gods were quiet. Our land was tired. And the river? Dry. Then, one evening, on the hottest day of the year, it happened. When a boy ran into the square, shouting like he'd seen a ghost. "He's back. He's back. The man with dry mouth. The man who eats leaves." We rushed toward the village path. And there he was. Danlami. His skin looked darker now. Cracked like charcoal. But his eyes, those same hollow eyes, burned with something deeper. Not anger. Not sadness. Purpose. In his hand was a fresh calabash. On his head, a pot made of pure clay. No shine. No decoration. Plain. But glowing. He didn't speak to anyone. He walked straight to the village square. And dug a small hole in the ground. He poured water into it from the calabash. Then sat beside it. Just sat. All night. By morning, something strange happened. Green sprouted from the hole. Fresh. Alive. Like it had been waiting for years to breathe. The villagers gathered. Some in awe. Some in fear. But Chief wasn't impressed. He came with guards. "Who sent for you?" he barked. "We cleansed this land. You brought the drought. Leave before the sun sets." Danlami didn't flinch. Instead, he looked up and said, calmly, "The fire you worship has consumed you. The one you rejected was sent to heal you." Then he removed the clay pot from his head and opened it. What we saw inside? A flame. But it didn't burn. It danced slowly, like it was breathing. Then Danlami whispered words I didn't understand. Old words. Words not meant for ordinary mouths. And just like that, clouds gathered. Real rain, the kind we hadn't seen in years, fell upon us. But not everywhere. Only on the square. And on the hole he dug. He stood up, eyes wet with something heavier than tears. "I was not cursed," he said. "I was chosen. But I trusted a heart that wasn't mine. She boiled my food the night before my coronation. My spirit fled that day. And for years, I walked without fire." Then he turned to leave. But this time, we didn't chase him. We watched. In silence. In shame. As he disappeared into the trees. And I know one thing for sure. Not all strange men are evil. Some carry wounds deeper than we can ever imagine. And some, just need a land that listens.